You are wasting your hard-earned money by paying too much in charges at each level of your investments. If you save £250 a month from age 25 to age 65 and you get a 6% annual return, the difference between paying 1% and 2% in fees is nearly £90,000 at the end. 90 grand. Let's see what we can do about that, shall we? Oh, by the way, this video is brought to you by Meaningful Academy. More on that in just a little bit. But what could you do with an extra 90 grand in your pension or your ISA? By paying too much in fees and charges, you are literally handing that money to your fund manager or your financial advisor and saying, here, you spend it, because I don't want to. Now, I am a financial advisor, so you might think I'm shooting myself in the foot here, but this isn't just about costs, it's about value. And value is something that the UK Financial Services Regulator is looking at very closely right now. So how can you be sure of getting value for you at every level of your investment stack so that you're making the best use of every penny? For nearly all investors, there are two levels of investing, and for many, there is a third. First, there is the thing that you invest in. Maybe that's individual shares, maybe it's property, but for most of us, it is funds. And you can buy a fund directly from a fund provider, but most of us these days use some kind of online platform. Platforms give us access to lots of different fund companies, but also different kinds of accounts. ISAs, pensions, GIAs, all that good stuff. And then the third level is advice. Now, while this channel is dedicated to helping you build and manage wealth for yourself, there are plenty of people who don't want to do this, or they don't have the time or inclination. And for those folks, maybe there's value in paying an advisor. Funds, platforms, advice. Each level of the investing stack has got a cost associated with it. So let's look at each one to see where those costs lie and how you can determine if there's value for you. There are lots of different types of investment funds. I've done a video on that subject, which I'll link to in the description. A fund pools your money with lots of other investors to give you economies of scale, but there is a cost involved. Actively managed funds, where there is a manager and a team of analysts working to try and make the fund beat the market, they are the most expensive because those fund managers are very well paid. And if they're consistently doing well, then fair enough. But actually, only about 1 in 10 active managers beat their benchmark consistently. So for the other 9 out of 10, they're being paid to underperform. Clearly there's no value there. Passive funds, though, aim to track or match market performance rather than beat it, and that costs a lot less to achieve. The structure of a fund makes a difference too. Generally, an OEIC or OEIC fund will cost more than an ETF, though not always. Again, watch that video on different fund types if none of that means anything to you. But this graphic from FE Fund Info shows the 3,000 unit trust and OEIC funds that disclose their OCF, that's the ongoing charges figure. Over half of them are charging more than 0.8% a year. 869 of them charge more than 1% a year. Now, I generally say you want to be looking for funds that cost below 0.3% a year, and there are 406 of those to choose from. Most investors should use passive, index tracking OEIC funds, costing less than 0.3% for the core of their portfolio, whether that's in their ISA or pension or anywhere else. You can get fancy with investment trusts or ETFs or anything else as you become more experienced and if you want to. When it comes to creating and then managing an investment portfolio, I walk you through exactly the learning that you need and the practical steps to take inside my courses at Meaningful Academy. I explain how to match a portfolio to your risk tolerance, and you can look over my shoulder as I use free online tools to whittle down thousands of available funds to just a few options. Then I give you the tools to monitor and review your investments going forward, because it's vital to review things regularly in light of your changing circumstances and goals. Now, this learning is part of the build wealth and retirement planning phases of the Academy. So head over to meaningfulacademy.com and click either build wealth or retirement planning to find out more. And if you decide that it's for you, use the coupon code YouTube for a hefty discount. Thanks, I'll see you inside the Academy. Now, back to the video. If you're going to invest in funds, chances are that you're going to use a platform. Charges on investment platforms vary. Nearly all of them have some kind of annual percentage-based charge. The more you hold on there, the more you'll pay in pounds and pence. Many have got charging tiers though, where if you hold over £100,000, say, everything over that amount will be charged at a lower rate, and then again at £250,000, for example. Quite a few platforms cap those fees, so eventually you'll hit a maximum, and after that, as your portfolio gets bigger, you'll pay proportionally less. Some will charge dealing fees for buying and selling, especially if you're investing in individual shares, ETFs, or investment trusts. Some will even charge a fee per account. So maybe so much a month for an ISA, and the same again if you also hold a pension on the platform. And here, everything depends on the kind of investor you are. If you're a frequent trader, then you want to watch for dealing fees. And find one where you either don't pay dealing fees at all, or where there's a cap on the number of charged deals per month or per year. If you're a buy and hold investor, dealing fees are largely irrelevant, but watch for charges on regular monthly investments or withdrawals. If you've got a large sum to invest, you might want to look for a platform where the fees are capped or at least tiered down. Remember, this is about value, so you're looking for the right balance of functionality and ease of use for the money that you're paying. Check out the boring money comparison pages. I'll link to them in the description. Now, if you are happy to go it alone, you can pay very little in total investment costs by opting for low-cost funds on a low-cost platform. But if you don't have the time, skills, or inclination to DIY, you might need a professional advisor, and we cost money. Now, an advisor can add value by prompting you to make the most of your tax allowances, for example, or from stopping you making decisions that will cost you unnecessary tax. Some advisors will set great store on their ability to choose your investments, and some even have discretionary investment powers. That makes them essentially a portfolio manager. Now, my own view is that an advisor adds a ton of value in the relationship, working with you over a long period, multiple decades potentially, to coach and steer you towards better financial outcomes. Vanguard did a study a few years ago that suggested that the additional value that a good advisor can add over a lifetime is up to 3% a year, and half of that is in the area of behavioral coaching. I reckon the average annual charge for an advisor is between 0.75 and 1% per year of the money that they look after for you. Some advisors charge fixed fees, some hourly rates. At Jackson's, we charge a maximum of 0.75% a year, tiering down at higher amounts. And we also have loyalty discounts for long-standing relationships. Again, it's about whether paying a professional advisor represents value to you and your situation. The problem is that value can sometimes take a few years to bear out. So, there are 3 levels of costs in the investing stack: fund, platform, and advice. But here's the real danger. Fees can be much higher and much more difficult to quantify when you have one company responsible for all 3 levels. This is called vertical integration. Not a catchy name, admittedly, but there are plenty of other firms who will advise you to invest in their own funds on their own platform. This graphic from the Financial Times shows just how costs can rack up. According to this, St James's Place, for example, aren't that much more expensive than the average IFA. But I reckon that if you're paying 2% all in to an IFA, you need to look for a better value advisor. But you can see that in some cases, total fees are nudging up towards 2.8% a year. According to a recent piece in the FT, some vertically integrated firms are charging up to 2% a year all in for their services. Using the example from the intro of this video, if you save £250 a month for 40 years and get a 6% annual return, the difference between paying 2.8% a year and just 1% per year over those 40 years is just shy of £143,000. 143 grand of your money gone into somebody else's pocket. We absolutely must demand value at every level, or else that money has just gone up in smoke. Okay folks, I hope that was helpful and challenging. If it was, you know what to do. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. That really helps, so thank you for that. And maybe share the video with someone that you think will find it useful. Demand value, folks. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.